Welcome to Real Talk with Kimberly Majette. This week I have one of my favorite people, Kristina Thomas. She's a past client of mine and really a friend. Like we've been, I sold your house in the retreat, then you guys moved to Boston and then you moved back.
Yes.
And we worked together for a long time to find your kind of dream home.
A very long time.
Yeah, it was almost a year,
yeah.
Right? So I just wanted to have you on because I think you're a badass. I really do. You're a powerful woman. You work, you travel. I think actually when we wrote your offer on your house, where were you?
In the Czech Republic.
Okay, yep. And you're married. You have how many kids?
Two
kids. So I just, as a woman, it's difficult, I think, to balance life and work and then just find time for yourself. And so whenever I meet powerful women, I like to surround myself with them and just kind of introduce you to my database and just talk. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me start by having you kind of introduce what you do. I mean, secretly, Katie and I have plans. We think she's a killer. But why don't you kind of introduce what you do and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a senior HR director at Novanta, based out of Boston.
Okay.
I've been doing HR for over 15 years now. And I'm also in the military as a diversity and inclusion manager. Just celebrated my 24th anniversary with the military yesterday.
Thank you for your service. It's amazing. And Glenn, your husband, who
Yes.
I adore also, he's in the military, correct?
He is local here.
Okay. So just, I guess let's kind of talk about, you travel a decent amount, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what does that look like? Your little guy's actually here right now. He's 4?
Yes.
Okay, what does that look like being a traveling mom and wife? And
So I couldn't do it without the support system, which is one of the reasons that being back home in Charlotte, as you mentioned, you help us leave here to go to Boston, and then coming back here has been very good for us to have the family to support us. So being surrounded by my brother and sister, and then of course having a husband that's extremely supportive.
Yeah.
Because I am traveling about 50% of the time,
Okay.
so he picks up a big load at home. So that's the only way that I could do it is, they say it takes a village.
It does. Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the struggles that you deal with when you're, traveling and I'm sure you have, so we've talked about kind of that mom guilt.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. You feel guilty, right? Because it's I know I experience it and I'm local with my kids, and I know sometimes I look back, my daughter's getting ready to be a junior next year, and I'll see, Facebook brings up photos and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've missed so much and I would change so much. And so you got to feel that, being gone or being out of the country. So what are things that you kind of do to process that?
It's definitely been hard, and I have a daughter that's 21,
Okay.
and the 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So even with the 21-year-old, I still feel very guilty.
Yeah.
Looking back at the things that maybe I've missed and not spending the time that I want to spend. So that's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
And then I think also, quite honestly, not having the opportunity to bring them with me, because sometimes the guilt is they're not experiencing the things that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
So those are some of the biggest struggles.
Okay. But so having a 21-year-old daughter, she's got to be so proud of you. What a better role model. Yeah, what a better role model for her to look up to. Because, not only are you beautiful inside and out, but you've accomplished a lot. And, I look up to you. I do. I think that, and that's again why I said I want to surround myself with women like you. I think it's an amazing accomplishment to be a mom, but also what you've accomplished. You're a great wife, you're a great mom, you're a great businesswoman, and I want that for my daughter, right? And so your daughter has so much to look up to in you. So I think, and tell me if you kind of feel the same way, but I think that's kind of how we process some of that mom guilt. I think a lot of women build their lives around their children thinking they have to sacrifice who they are for their children, not realizing that when they do that, they're not teaching their children how to kind of become their own person, right? Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying in there?
It does. And I struggle with that with my daughter, and I'm sure there are times where she's wished that I was home. And
Sure.
I think as she's getting older, there, I hope, is some appreciation and seeing why I work so hard and wanting to provide the best for her. And along with that, seeing that you can do it. And sometimes she'll always joke on, I'm an independent woman too.
Yeah.
Right? So wanting her to know that she doesn't need anybody and can survive this world on her own, being independent. And I'm very excited to see her embark on that journey now.
Yeah. So that's got to feel good to know that that's coming to fruition.
Yes.
Right? What does she do?
So she just graduated from being an esthetician. So she's a licensed esthetician here in the Fort Mill area.
Nice. Okay, fantastic. So what advice would you give to women that are kind of struggling with that mom guilt and balancing that, right? Like it's hard to balance both being, strong and independent, but also, I guess one of the things I love about you when I see you with Glenn is you are strong, you're independent, but you're also feminine. You're a very feminine woman, and I love that. It's beautiful about you.
And it's good to hear that, because sometimes I get a lot of times that I'm very much like a man.
Yes, you have to be, right, in the business world.
Yes. So people do tell me that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know I've said this before, but I couldn't do it without Glenn.
Yeah.
He really allows me to live in both worlds. So, he supports me being strong and independent, but he also sees me behind closed doors and is the person that holds me up and really the strength behind me. And honestly, the one thing I would say is do whatever's right for you, right in the moment, and it will change, and kind of go with the flow on how things change, but at the end of the day, make sure you're doing what is right for you.
Yeah, and I love that, in the moment, right, and it will change. And I think that's what's key too, is I think the right man will allow you to fall into your femininity.
Yes.
Right? And so it is hard being a woman in a man's world, because I feel like that's where we are, right?
Still, unfortunately.
100%, yeah, still, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, like, we don't want to be manly, right? We just don't. Like, you want to be able to come home, shut that door, and be a woman.
Yes.
Right? But it takes the right man to be able to see that, like, yeah, my wife is a badass, but she's still my woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And still able to take care of me.
Yeah, you want to fall into his frame, and so it's hard to find that balance.
Very much.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be comfortable with the balance. You win some, you lose some, and it's all in the moment. So being able to, although not always easy, but just go with the flow.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you like to do for fun? Because it's not always work, right?
So working out is a huge thing for me, and looking for houses. One of the weird things we always, how high are the ceilings in the garage?
Yes.
Because having that is really important to us. So I would say in my free time, that's one of the biggest things that I do, as well as enjoy a drink or two.
Yeah, listen, and we still need to get that drink together. I need to come back over to your house and check out all the things that you've done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and you guys do investment properties too, which has kind of been, we kind of talked about looking at.
We're looking into it,
Yeah.
Something that we want to do. In fact, we just talked about that recently.
Yeah.
Where do we want to consider investment property? Local? Do we want to go somewhere out by the beach? So yes, that's something we're interested in, to invest in our future and our children.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard a statistic the other day, which is kind of scary. They said in the next 10 to 15 years, most kids won't be able to own a house.
That is wild.
Crazy, right? And so that made me think, I'm like, gosh, do I want to invest in my kids' college, or do I want to buy them a house? And so it was just like, and I think what's driving that is because so many investors bought up inventory last year. And so, it's just, it's insane. So.
And that's another powerful woman that I know. That's one of the things that she did for her kids is each kid, she bought a house. It was an investment property as they were growing up.
Right.
And then when they were ready for it, that's what she turned over to them.
Yeah. So we're in a group called Badass and Brilliant, right? And we're actually getting ready to schedule another event to get together. So those women that are in there, we formed that group. I think most of us kind of know each other, but what do you look for when you're looking for a friend or a woman to surround yourself with? Because I know as you get older, like for me personally, my group of girls has gotten smaller, and I'm kind of picky with who is in my group, right? And I think it's important. You talked about your support system. Like, who do you surround yourself with?
I would say the biggest thing for me is someone that I know I can just be myself around.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a facade.
Yeah.
I want to be able to open my door, and it doesn't matter what it looks like behind the door.
Yep.
That I'm not going to be judged, and it is what
Yeah.
it is. That's probably the biggest thing for me. So
Yeah.
trust, sincerity,
Huge.
and then having things in common.
Yeah, yeah. If you open the door in yoga pants, you're like, come on in,
Sink full of dishes.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, having a bad day, grab a bottle of wine and come on
Exactly.
over. Yeah, those are the friends that you need, right? Yeah, 100%. Okay. No, I love that. And that's kind of where I'm at. And that's the women that I want in my life too, the women that will call me out, right? Like I went through some things in my life, probably a couple years ago, and Lori, that's in our group, she called me out, and I didn't like it. And I didn't talk to her for probably a few months, but because she's one of my best friends, and because she knew what I was doing wasn't right, she had the courage to put me in line, and I love her for that, and we're still to this day, really good friends. So yeah, I think those are the women that you need in your life.
Absolutely. The other big thing for me in being busy
Yes.
and traveling and working and then
Yes.
trying to spend time with my family is friends that understand that.
Yes.
And don't get upset.
Right.
You may send me a text, and it could be 2 days before you hear
Right.
back from me. And it's not
Yeah.
personal. So I think
Right.
also having the deep connection to recognize when things aren't personal, but also
Yeah.
to your point, the friend that's going to say, "What the hell? I texted you 2 days ago." Right? So getting a little nudge now and then isn't bad either.
Yeah. No. Well, and just to know, like, hey, I haven't heard from you, but are you okay?
Yes, that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and friends that want to go, like, again, why we form that group, right? To go on a deeper level, right? Like, let's just not sit around and gossip about other women, but let's talk about building wealth. Let's talk about, how I can help you grow in your life, how you can help me grow in my life. Just push each other, right?
Push each other, support each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the one other really great thing is there were people that I think were self-employed, so
Yes.
supporting other people in their businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's on a whole different level, right? Like, I think that mentality is, it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
One, we're kind of crazy.
Crazy, work a lot.
Yes. Work all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to have other women to support each other. So yeah, and then for those of us that are single, we need to bounce things off. Like, is this guy crazy? So yeah. So no, I love that, and I'm very blessed to have you in my life. I think it's been good.
Same. So I really appreciate you and all that you've done,
Thank
and
you.
you've been a strong woman for me as well to look up to
Thank you.
and see be successful.
Yeah. So I think our house hunting journey was fun.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there anything else that you'd kind of like to give advice for women, or what's up, buddy? This is her handsome little son.
Nothing that I can think of except, as I mentioned, being true to yourself and doing what's right for you, I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, I love that. So
And being flexible,
Being
because you never know.
Listen, I love that that's kind of changed in the workplace too, right? That it used to be like you had to hide your children or, pretend like you're not a mom. Listen, like, this is why we do it, right? Like, he's your big why, your daughter's your big why, right? And yeah, I absolutely love it. So yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate you, and appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. It was great.
Yeah. So, well, thanks, guys.